BooBaes. BooBaes. Hi,
Hello, howdy, hey.
it's Joshua.
It's Wednesday. Caitlin. I'm Caitlin.
Wednesday, Caitlin.
Sorry, but I was howdy, hey. It's Wednesday.
There we go.
Works.
I was like, did we get a Thursday Caitlin and a Friday Caitlin?
Yes, all
and
different.
yes.
You never know. I'm
It's-
like a box of chocolates. You
it's
never
like,
know which one you're
What
gonna
happened
get.
on Monday, where there was a kid for each day. Did you ever watch that movie?
No,
It's not a horror movie, so.
I've never
it's
seen
not-
it.
it's only horror, exclusively, nothing else. Get out.
No, last episode I mentioned Hot Rod, and that is my favorite movie of all time.
Still haven't seen it. We're gonna have to have a little sit down and watch it.
It's
But
it's really dumb.
well, it's Andy Samberg, right?
Yeah, my main man.
But no, yeah. Anyways, tangent. But yeah, that movie. There's like 7 twins, like sextuplets. I don't know how you would call it. And they got one named for each day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So did the rest of them just like go into the closet for the
Basically,
week?
it's
Oh
a
my
really
God.
good movie. Actually, it's like kind of say like a future sci-fi,
like dystopian?
dystopian, very much so. Yeah, where they're burning children.
Oh my God.
To
Are you sure this isn't
stave
a
off-
horror?
So that yeah, basically to control the population.
Wow, this sounds amazing.
really good.
Why have I never heard of this?
It's got
I mean, not burning children,
yeah,
but
It's got a lot of great actors in it and actresses.
what's it called?
What happened to Monday?
What happened to Monday? Oh, Monday the child. Okay. Yes, I will need to enlighten myself immediately.
Okay, yeah, for sure. But to
I'm
know,
gonna write that down.
Yeah, write it down. It's good, and I'll write down Hot Rod.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it up here. So
Well,
welcome to BooBaes.
well, yes, BooBaes, that's us.
Hi.
Your favorite horror movie podcast that tells you spooky things.
Spooky.
We're getting spooky stared at
I know.
by the other god of Rogue Media.
Oh,
Aaron.
man, it's a fright fest.
That's the lovely voice you hear at the end of every podcast. This has been a Rogue Media production. I sing it along with you. Not sing, I say it with you every time.
Aw.
Yay, good. It warmed his heart.
There we go.
Yay. What happened to Monday? I'm just now getting to that.
It's okay. Anyways, today you guys are going to be talking about the taking of Deborah Logan.
Diddly 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 dee. Wow.
Mhm.
A favorite of mine. Although I will say, going back and watching it in this like lens, I don't know if I loved it as much as I originally did.
You mean the more like critical, you dissecting it?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, because I really loved this movie, but there were a few things that I was like, oh,
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
But
We will get to those.
yes,
Let me get some notes.
so much stuff happened.
Yeah,
with
for
it.
Sure.
So I figure we could read the little synopsis of what. So first off, it got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's really good.
That's awesome. Yeah,
And then
I mean,
it got a 6 out of 10 on IMDb.
good crowd pleaser there.
And so pretty much the like overview, it came out in 2014. It was based in 2013. So it was supposed to be like pretty much like right after it happened, it came out. But it's a found footage genre. And it was a directorial debut of Adam Robitel. And so he
Go Adam.
Yeah,
Robitel.
Robitussin.
Robitel.
Adam Robitussin.
Yeah.
He's only 43. I can marry him.
You sure can. He's
What else
also
has he
directed a
done?
few other
Oh,
movies
he did.
too.
Oh, yeah, he did
Did the-
Paranormal Activity and Insidious, which I hate.
The Last Key, and then he did the Escape Rooms.
Yeah.
Which I just watched Escape Room 2, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Have
you
you
like
seen
it?
it yet?
No, I've not seen that.
It was.
I've seen Escape Room.
It was it was good. It was okay. I mean,
You sound very convinced.
it was mixed review for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
a mild good, I'd say. Not like
Had its
anything
moments.
spectacular. Had some moments where I was like, okay, yeah, this is going pretty well, but then also like just kind of. I mean, have you seen the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
This-
you enjoy that first one?
It was all right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like it was
Okay.
just all right. Yeah,
Just like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go
a
out of
pretty
my
run
way
of the
to
mill
recommend
kind of
it.
horror movie. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that I like this one at all is kind of shocking considering I do hate pretty much every Insidious film that has ever come out. Also not a fan of the Paranormal Activities.
Yeah.
They're just dumb to me, which now looking back, some of the moments in this film were kind of dumb. But so pretty much what it is it's from Mia is the main like film student, or like she's a doctor kind of, I don't know, but she's got to document stuff. And so there's 3 people who are sitting there and they're recording the daily lives of Deborah and her daughter Sarah as a part of her thesis. And as the days progress, strange things happen around Deborah, and it becomes apparent that something is taking control of her. It's originally like it's supposed to be Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's dementia, Alzheimer's.
It's Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
said dementia when I told you about it, and then I was like, "Oh, it's actually Alzheimer's."
Yeah.
When I went back and watched it, I was like, "Oops, I'm a liar." But yeah, so it's Alzheimer's, and you're essentially watching a slow descent into what it is like to
Madness.
lose your mind and lose your wits,
which is a really horrible, scary way to lose yourself.
Yeah,
like
Alzheimer's,
you're there, but you're not there.
Exactly. And for the most part, until like for the most part, she is following typical stages of Alzheimer's in the early stages. And so it's true to that. And then at a certain point, she starts exhibiting other things that are like, oh, that's otherworldly.
So do you think that she did have Alzheimer's and that's like how it triggered, right? For sure.
I do, yes.
And that's how her mind became more susceptible to being
it gave her
possessed.
a lower mental state.
Yeah.
Like, susceptible mental state, a weakened mind.
Because like it's kind of almost like what came first, like the chicken or the egg, like, or did the possession of him start? Is that what like then incited the Alzheimer's in her, and then her mind started deteriorating?
Yeah, I feel like the Alzheimer's is what welcomed it in, because when they go and talk to the anthropologist, at one point they bring up how children and the elderly are
people who are
often used because they have weaker minds, which ties into the end as well.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes by a little subtly in this film, and things that you don't necessarily like pick up on the first go. I feel like
I noticed that as well. And like you said too, this movie's a slow riser.
It is a very slow burn.
And then it gets to that ending, and it really just punches in on it.
Which I personally love that kind of build up. It feels very similar almost to like how the Conjuring and the Blair Witch too.
Blair Witch, yeah.
With just like not a lot happening. I mean, the occasional like, ooh,
that's eerie, that's scary, that's spooky.
Yeah. Because like her like walking around at night before she rips off her neck. That happens pretty early in the film.
Yeah.
And so there's little spooky tidbits
through the whole time.
Yeah, to keep you tied in, but then it just like shit explodes and hits the fan at the end. Which just like Blair Witch, it is very similar vibes. The ending was super similar with the camera holding and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like, for sure.
Blah, blah, blah,
with like the very
around.
found footage style, documentary style filming. Definitely takes place. We're at the beginning. Mia's there with Gavin and Luis. They're talking to them, and at first, you can already tell there's like friction between Sarah and her mom Deborah.
Yes.
Just because of like the way that they interact, or the way that she's like, "Mom's over here," she's kind of. She's really excited for y'all to come, because she's already knows that her mom's like trying to back out, or like being indifferent about it. Even
she's really trying to sell her.
As like not being so unpleasant.
And then also kind of coaching them on how they should approach Deborah. Yeah, being like very formal and polite and saying, "Yes, ma'am, thank you. Yes, sir, thank you, sir." The whole time. So
that really, Deborah definitely gives me like conservative, uptight, like.
Oh yes, definitely that mom that would have like smacked the back of your neck when you fell asleep in church, kind of thing, and then gave you a earful on the car ride home. That's Deborah.
But who's got a past?
What?
But who's got a past? Like some past. Like that's why she's like that.
Oh, yes.
Obviously.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My brain. We're recording at night today, y'all. So sponsored by Local Buzz, Four Corners
Buzz.
Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, but I do like this beer.
Could
do you
be.
like it? Have you tasted it?
Yeah,
yet?
actually, it's okay. It's pretty good. It's yeah.
It's all right. Yeah. It's pretty easy to get
ASMR.
down.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyways, so to the movie, they finally meet her, and then she's kind of backing out of it, and then that's whenever Mia's like, my grandfather, this isn't just a grade for me. My grandfather also had the disease. But it's the way that she like delivers that line. It's like had the disease. Like not even just saying
Alzheimer's, yeah.
Yeah. Like I felt, let alone not even Deborah, going through whatever she's going through. Like that's kind of off-putting for someone. And then what it felt like, even if it was a normal person, they'd be like, that's like a little harsh. Like,
I
you know
agree.
what I mean?
And
Like,
then and Deborah reacts in a way that's like, she just kind of like cocks her head and then looks at her like did you just fucking say that?
Like, how dare
Like,
you? What'd you call me? Yeah.
But I also think Deborah could tell she was lying.
Yeah.
I think she could tell.
She's got that voodoo sixth sense.
Yeah. And then she was lying because then
we figure
one
out
of
later.
them asks like, I thought they were on like, where were they in like New Zealand or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Or Switzerland. They were on holiday.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I just made it up.
Yeah.
We needed to like reel her in.
Literally.
And it's like, girl, bitch, that's rude.
Yeah. And then later on,
it's like, don't use your grandparents as an excuse for anything. Like people who are like, oh, use their grandparents dying as an excuse. I'm like, no, fuck
and
you.
And they're not really dead.
Yeah.
Or they are dead.
Because when my grandma died, fucking professors didn't believe me.
Oh yeah.
And they
people use that as an excuse.
And they were like, I need stuff from the ceremony. And I was like, fuck you guys, dude.
Damn.
We didn't even have a formal ceremony. We just had dinner and shared wine. And then we spread our ashes in the Austin Wildflower Center.
Do you want her ashes?
Yeah, I was like, do you want me to send you a picture of her ashes in a box? Like, fuck you.
Sends them an envelope of literal ashes.
I bet you they'd never ask again.
For real.
I wouldn't do my grandma like that.
A little finger. Whose finger? I don't know.
I do have my wisdom teeth on hand.
Oh, hey, there you go.
I keep those in a little box.
And those don't burn, right? Teeth don't burn. Mm-hmm.
Dental records.
Not that I would know anything about that. So bring us back to the movie, Caitlin.
So they are going around. They're setting up the house, and I like how, again, conservative and old-fashioned Deborah is, because Mia asks, "Oh, okay, am I going to sleep in here too?" And Deborah goes, No, like no intermingling here.
Yes,
and
literally.
just like a no co-ed sleeping here.
Not a co-ed moment, no. And the way that the whole house is very ornate and old style, and like you can tell she keeps
a lot of that house, like, so much
pristine, clean. Even though she's got dementia, I'm sure like that's what she's like, hyper obsessed.
Yeah,
on.
It's like something she knows she can control, and does so well. Yeah. So they're going around. And then it kind of starts switching into more of you can tell that this is like the half edited, like they had started editing the first half of the film is what the vibe is supposed to be. So then you're getting the like footage of them coming in, the start, and then the layover of what it is of Deborah's younger years. Yeah. To like as if you were watching the supposed to be final like finished version of the documentary. So it does have that very documentary style.
And I really appreciated those like that vintage footage because it looked really like it was very realistic. Yeah, they made it look very much so like it was back in the 70s, right? Early 70s. And
it had a wonderful like just vibe all around to it. The music and stuff that played with it, and the narration that happened over it, I liked it. It did feel very documentary. Like I was watching a relatively professionally produced documentary. Like I know it is technically it is. And the old footage was awesome. I loved it. The switchboard. So she starts her own switchboard company, which is a big part of the film. Yeah. Because that's how they even figure half the shit out. Yeah. Is through the switchboard.
But I do love how Deborah was like talking about the switchboard and how she was the nexus of the town.
Yes,
and
I did love that.
They couldn't do anything without me. I had to keep affairs and secrets and all this stuff.
I loved it. She was having a heyday. And I mean, what a badass thing of her to do, though, like to start her own business and do all that in her home.
And then with the child. I was just me and a child.
Yeah, because Sarah's father, Deborah's husband, passed away when she was 2.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly, I believe is what they said.
Yeah. And so she was just
some sort of like pulmonary
embolism.
Embolism, yes. Pulmonary.
I believe that's when you're just vein up here pops and you're just dead because it's an instant bleed and then it goes to your brain and lights out.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's scary. So that can just happen at any time?
I mean...
New fear unlocked.
New irrational fear. I mean, it could just happen at any time, but I mean, there have to be like things for that to happen, I believe. Like, you know, like certain things, stressors or something like that, or you have to have something wrong with you, I think, for that to happen. Okay. It can't just like happen to like a healthy person, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's slightly more comforting.
But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. Everything yes, I know is from Grey's Anatomy.
Dr. Josh.
Yep. Okay. So the switchboard, yes, that's a very important part of the movie. It comes into play a lot later. It's also really cool to see all that footage. And then it's also cool because I think at the same time you're also even getting more of the dynamic between her and her mom. Like even when they're filming them and like the mom's like criticizing the shirt that she's wearing. You know,
is this your dad's?
Yeah.
Is this your dad's shirt?
And then you can just really tell like they're kind of dynamic already from the get go. Like her mom is super like prissy, conservative, very like tries to control everything
and not open with the fact that Sarah is a lesbian.
And then Sarah is,
she always refers to her, she goes, well, when your lady friend yeah, is what she calls her girlfriend.
But I think also too, yeah, you get to see that without it being so like hammered in your face, but you get to like, I already understood and pictured like, all right, like Sarah's been away for years. Like her mom just like started getting sick, so she's back now. But like they never got along, and that's why she moved away halfway across the country with her lady friend, and like to
go live her own life. And, but deep down, she did still care about her mom.
Oh and she loved her.
Her mom was about to lose everything because she was behind on her house payments, and so that is why they even had the people there recording anyways.
They offered them money, right?
Yeah, it was like grant money that was supposed to help them help Sarah get back on track and help pay her mom's like mortgage or property taxes or whatever. I mean, the house seemed to be in there. I would hope that she didn't have like a 60-year mortgage.
Yeah, because I mean,
by this point, her mortgage should be paid off. So maybe it was like the property taxes and stuff.
Maybe, who knows? That's a lot of,
or it's a plot hole.
That's a whole lot of other stuff coming into play. That's above my pay grade. But anyways, and then we get her just kind of talking about her Alzheimer's, and then the shots of her just kind of walking across the house and her talking in the background about how like she'd toast the toast twice or you know, do stuff like that.
And I'm like, fuck.
And Sarah's like, you left the stove on and burnt a pot.
Like, yeah.
So
she's like, it's a little bit more. And then they're really bickering there. You get a good dynamic of it's obvious that they care about each other. They just have such wildly different viewpoints on how life should be conducted.
Yeah.
And they just,
it plays
every little thing has to, it felt very like sibling-esque almost. Like, I don't know, but it was good. And then we could start setting up cameras throughout the house because they're not only just monitoring her with like a handheld. Yeah. They are having cameras set up like in her bedroom, in the walkways of the house. So that way, you know, if she disappears or up and wanders off, like she very clearly seems to do so often, they can track her / see the different movements that happen. From a documentary standpoint, that probably wouldn't have been what they would actually do. Yeah. But for a scary movie film, it's a great, some of the best footage comes from, I think, some of those cornered little, like, we're a ghost investigating.
Where it's like half dark. Yeah. Because it really adds to this whole creep vibe of what's going on with Deborah.
Yeah.
Because homegirl is acting freaky.
She is. So like even while Luis is setting up the cameras, she is just kind of wandering behind and like observing, but then obviously not in her right mind.
Yeah.
There's and then you hear the loud bang.
Stare there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's just kind of like, there's that one scene where you're downstairs and then she just like wanders past the door real fast.
Oh, that's right.
That might be later. I don't know. Oh, that is later.
That is a little later. I know which part you're talking about.
Anyways, her walking around always is scary.
Yeah, because she seems to be able to
scary.
Just end up in one place and pop up in the next place.
Yes.
Just like a classic horror villain killer, psycho killer.
Like, because when she's
up.
at the beginning, when we first see the first snake, when she's gardening, and she just picks up this fucking snake, and Gavin, I think is his name.
It was Luis, right?
Was it? No, I think it was the kind of a.
It might have been
one.
Gavin. Okay.
He was sitting there like recording her, and then Mia comes up and is like, "We have to," blah, blah, blah. And then he
turns back around.
And she's right there, and she goes, "How about some lunch?" And it's like, "Fuck, bitch." He turned around for like 3 seconds. How did you get from 40 yards away
to there?
I don't know, 40 yards.
And then also too, it did seem
yards?
like
I'm American.
It also did seem too like when she walked up to him and the way she said, "Time for lunch" or "Let's get lunch." It was in a more of like, you didn't see what you just saw.
Like, let's skip right on over this.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't ask any questions.
And that was, I feel like, one of the first good little
clues.
I mean, besides the door slamming, but a good little kind of jump scare though too.
Oh yeah,
a very subtle one that's not cheesy, but it's still unsettling.
It works.
Yeah. I liked the subtlety
because it's like it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yes.
How does she ended up right there from all the way on the other side of the yard?
Yeah. And I think most of the parent like really weird shit happens to Gavin because he's the one who
that's most like against it.
Yeah.
Like,
from the get when we get to the counter scene and stuff, he's like, "Nah, fuck this. I'm out." Like he says then he's out, then he stays, but
which happens the same night, right? Like right after all that happens.
I do believe so, yeah. Because after this they go in and then that's when she starts
losing her mind because she can't find her spade.
Yes.
And so she's, I guess, accusing Gavin of taking the spade, or well, not necessarily accusing, but she's just kind of losing her cool on him.
Yeah, because she can't find it, and I guess he was just nearby enough, or maybe because he saw her gardening out there and saw the snake, and so maybe in her mind she thought
those dots together
that he took it because of that.
Well, and then I also too, if you guys don't know what a spade is like a little baby shovel that you use to garden. Because I didn't know that's what those were called.
Oh,
honestly, I was like, I mean.
I had a grandma who made me garden with her.
I put it together because obviously that's what she was calling the little shovel. But I was like, oh, that's what those are called. If I were just to hear that, I would be like,
you'd think of a deck of cards.
I was literally like, a spade. Like what?
You took my jack of spades.
Literally, my precious.
I love it.
It's my husband. Oh my gosh.
Oy. She's
But then we find out she killed her husband too. That would be an even bigger plot.
I was like, fuck, she did? I missed it.
The retaking of Deborah Logan. The take back.
Come on, retinol. What's his name? Robitussin.
Robitel.
Retinol.
Retinol. Isn't that what you put on your face?
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, retinol.
Come on, retinol. We're gonna have to email retinol. Okay.
Get on the sequel though.
So so she's losing her chill, and she's like got a knife pulled out on Gavin, and he's like on the kitchen counter freaking out.
That cracked me up. He's just standing up there, and then like long after they've kind of calmed her down, he's still up there, and he's like, like,
and he gets out the window, right? He goes out the window.
Yeah, he goes out the window.
Yeah, he crawls back out the window, and he's
cracks
like,
me up.
F that, because obviously, and honestly,
she was like losing her mind.
She was assaulted.
Yeah, this was not like did you take my spade? Give me that. And she was like cursing and obscenities just flying out of her mouth. And then, had a knife pulled on him. Like, ting, ting.
Ting, 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 ting. Yes. Oh, so then, Gavin's freaking ill. And I think that's they go back and find her, right? By the window?
Yeah, so that's when they go back and find her by the window. And I think she's standing there with the hammer at this point. Or something. No, maybe not yet.
No.
She's just staring out the window.
Staring out the window, and she's like murmuring some like shit.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever they're like, and it's the way too that like at every moment also, I love how Sarah, her daughter, is always like so freaking scared to even approach her as well.
Yeah.
She's just as scared as everyone else.
I wonder like if something, I mean, obviously she's had to, and they talked about how the caregiver has like mental tolls and stuff too. So I wonder, I'm sure a lot of that must have played in, but
but it's funny too, because to me, I'm just like, it's the way that even her own daughter was just so like fucking frightened by the way she's behaving right now. But yet like at this point, even though she's so fucking frightened, it's still just like, it's just Alzheimer's.
Just Alzheimer's,
it's just Alzheimer's. But then she turns around and literally peels off the skin on her neck.
Which I'm like, dude, you gotta work. Oh, like, cause it's not like.
Oh yeah, she went. She like.
Fuck, it is like the whole epidermis.
Literally, yeah, like a flank steak.
Yes, it is disgusting. The thought of doing that.
Yeah.
Because I've had, and like later on in the film, she rips up part of her arm takes again the whole theme, like top layer.
Well, because what I am thinking now, what I started thinking as we started sitting here, and maybe you already thought about this, is when she's peeling the skin, is how snakes are involved a lot.
Oh, yeah. It's they're like shedding their skin.
She's shedding it. Yes.
No, I did not think that, but I love that idea.
Yeah.
You are a genius. I love it. That's great.
Right.
I think that's a really good idea.
Is that because she ends up like, that part with the like the poison, the venom, and all that stuff, like all those are characteristics of snakes, and so I'm thinking now, like, that's the reason why it was so easy for her to peel the skin off, was because it was like how a snake sheds its skin, its scales.
Because she's so frail, and I like, I cannot
because even at
get
that one
off.
part when she was with the doctors and they're like, she was presenting, weird, new things, and they're saying how her back was becoming scaly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That little I just thought she was getting some weird chemical burns.
Pesticides.
Yeah, I just thought it was like the demon burning her off. Okay, you are a genius. Oh my God. I feel.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, roll the credits. This is all you need to know about fucking taking Deborah Logan. Honestly, that's so good though. That's so good. Oh man, I've hurt my neck with how I was really trying to dig into it.
Yeah, but homegirl really just snatches that epidermis right off, and they're all freaking out, of course.
Yeah, because you're seeing this bitch rip her neck off.
And that's when we first get her going to the hospital, and she goes to see Dr. Nazir, and
that's where we meet her.
That's where her doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And
the first interview with her, I was like, her acting was a little too forced, okay. But then later on in the film, I enjoy her character much more. Not a lot, because she's not super relevant.
I can see where you meant forced, though.
But just only the first interview, I was like, but I guess any person, I guess, if they were in front of a camera.
Like docu-style as well, yeah.
Yeah, because I am a terrible actress. I helped a friend with a student zombie movie film in high school.
Yeah.
And they had to he should have won a Golden Globe or some shit. What's for Emmys, Grammys? Nope, Grammys, Musics.
Yeah, all of them
for
for
editing, because I was just cracking up Oscar the whole time. Like, well, I'm supposed to be chopping these zombies.
Yeah.
Because the moment the camera was on me, I was just like,
yeah.
Because I was weirded in high school, and I still would be that way. But he made it look good. But so I
edited out the laughs and everything.
Yes, yeah. He made it look like I was a real, because my character is supposed to be super badass, like, flannel, wearing probably a lesbian,
chick,
aviators,
survivor, is gonna cut through a lot of zombies.
Yeah, I was like Michonne, but without katanas, and so that was my character, and then so I couldn't be sitting there like laughing, unless maybe they went for like this bitch fucking psycho, like a Harley Quinn kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He just
leave it to the edit.
Yeah, he got real great camera shots.
Editing is really beyond all like what
shout
makes
out to you, Stud Muffin.
Yeah, editors, and also to like with anything though, I guess like in film and movie, even in our shows and stuff like that, editing really makes the
difference. Yeah,
and even in like in music too, like when you master a song, like you can totally make a mix sound like the same song sound totally different, just like in the way that things get edited and mastered at the end when you make the final product. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. But yeah, so
that was a big tangent. Sorry,
that was a lot of tangent. And so per usual, so we're talking to the doctors, and that's when Dr. Nazir is explaining to Sarah that her mom's Alzheimer's is like progressed like into the middle stages, and Sarah's kind of like. You
said we had 2 to 3 more years.
Out because she said they had longer, and Dr. Nazir is just kind of like, well, this is where we're at, and we're trying to figure it out, basically.
Yeah, because they're equally as stumped, honestly.
Because they don't know what's happening.
This is a normally, I mean, they have a certain timeline, and of course, not everyone's going to adhere to it. Human bodies are all going to deteriorate at different rates. But I mean, this is still progressing so fast that it is unheard of.
Yeah,
I think. And so they were just like, we're just as confused. And I think even at that point, they start talking about the specialist and being like, maybe we need some other people here. And then like whenever stuff really hits the fan later, they're like, we need the specialist now.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
For real. Which ends up happening in both cases, because they end up getting a specialist doctor-wise, and then they end up getting a specialist
anthropology-wise.
Anthropology-wise, yeah, literally.
That was my original major at Baylor.
Oh, yeah?
Anthropology and minor museum studies. And I failed out with fashion.
There you go.
I didn't fail out, actually. I just ran out of money.
Yeah. Hey, that happens. Baylor's pretty expensive, man.
They wanted $32,000 for a semester. I said, deuces.
Yeah.
I said, catch y'all later.
And $32,000 later, I'll catch y'all.
Yep.
That's a lot of moolah.
It is.
And so
we get back, and at this point, stuff starts accelerating a little bit faster. More creepy starts happening. This is where we get the dark scene of her in like the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, yes, the kitchen scene where she's in front of the counter.
So it's this night that I think that it happens. And yeah, she.
Yeah. So they have her on videotape, and she is not necessarily sleepwalking. She's possessed, so who knows what it is. She's going around the house, and she ends up in the kitchen, and she's in front of the counter, and within the same like seconds of nothing gets chopped up, she goes from being on the floor to being on top of the kitchen counter, and then having a spade in her hand.
Yeah, and it looked like a time glitch or something,
but the time did not. There wasn't a time glitch. Yeah, it looked like it, but
there was the time like to the seconds it's reading across, and there's nothing going wrong with it. And just even the way it's not like a slow levitation up there, it's like her life glitched. It was just like toomp, she was up.
Not even a second, within the milliseconds.
It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
And that's when Gavin's like, this is fucking weird. Yeah. Why is no one paying attention to this?
And the way he's showing me, and she's just like, she like is on the floor, and then she's on the counter. What about it?
Yeah, and she's like, maybe she got a chair, and he's like, look at the fucking timestamp. Yeah.
And it happened so fast. What do you mean she got a fucking chair?
Yeah. He was like, there's no way the camera would glitch that hard.
It's the way that
Mia tried to rationalize everything.
But also Mia is giving me Heather vibes from the Blair Witch, who will do anything to get this tape.
Yes,
to get this project done. She was ready to risk those other guys' lives so fast for this project.
She was, man. She put Lewis under the bus so many times. He was cracked me up, and a lot of that I didn't notice without the subtitles.
Yeah,
he says some funny things. We'll get to later.
Oh yeah, I liked Lewis a lot.
Yeah, he was funny.
And poor guy. And of course, like every time that like they would have to go like up and to check something spooky, they always made him go first.
Yeah, he said we had there's one line. He goes, make the brown guy go first. Okay. Yeah.
I like that. It's meta. It's on itself.
And I never had caught that joke before.
Well, he has a lot of like of the funny parts.
Yes.
I think really his whole role
was just comedy. Yeah. And not really even on screen. He was he was the camera holder.
Yeah. So you just hear his voice.
Yeah. And so he had a lot of great moments in there where I was just like, Luis, my man.
Yes.
I love him. But then we get past, and she's doing her weird shit again. And then we find her, she goes and she's standing in front of this window that becomes a pretty
reoccurring
image and spot in the film. She's standing there with hammer and nails, and then she starts nailing the window shut because she thinks there was an intruder, which there is.
There is, technically.
In her body.
Yeah.
And it is coming from there's also paintings and stuff. And the paintings, even in the beginning, when it starts showing her painting, you can see the man.
Yeah.
You can see the one that she's working on. And so later on in the film, you see these paintings showing guys getting closer. And it's the same window. It's looking out that window. And Sarah goes, she thinks there's been an intruder. And just kind of brushes it off, but no, there really fucking has been.
Yeah, and I think also too, like I think when she's painting, because she kind of slips in and out of her real self and like being possessed.
Oh, definitely.
And the paintings is also
even at the very end.
Yeah, it's like her like almost call out for help, like something's like, that's the only way she can get it out, like that there is an intruder.
And I wish more people would have maybe paid attention to what she was trying to say, because I think her body was trying to like ask for help, and but she just was so defenseless. But later on, so after that, they go to bed, they wake up because she's missing.
Homegirl was missing. Yes.
They're like, oh, fuck.
Sarah went to go pee, and she realized that her mom wasn't in her bed.
Yeah. And so they're losing their mind. They're like, where is she? Where is she? They go into that same room where one person is. Sarah's already outside at this point.
Luis, or Gavin. One of them was in there. And we're like, she went through the window.
Yeah, because the window was open. And so she went through, and it looked like it tore up a bit of her back, too. Yeah. Like there was blood on the gown that they picked up.
She was naked because she left her gown or got disrobed or somehow.
As she was crawling through the window. And then she's just losing her mind, digging up the yard.
Going at it, screaming, hollering.
Yeah, she's got that spade. She's just digging. And I mean, it's...
You know what? Also, too, this... Deborah, the actress, Jill Larson, like kudos to her, because throughout the whole movie, she's
a fantastic
knocked this
actress.
Whole thing out of the park.
Yes,
like
she did so well.
Believable, 100%, without a doubt. That woman was possessed.
Yeah, she did an amazing job. Like, if nothing else, she deserves. She did great. This movie, she did amazing. I love it.
Okay, but yeah, she's going crazy. She's screaming her lungs out at the dirt. At this point, everybody's just trying to like calm her the hell down.
Yeah, and because that's got to be so terrifying, like to approach somebody in that state.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
especially
and then
after
know
this
that they
person
can
had
hurt
already
you.
like attempted to stab someone.
Yeah.
So it's like
exactly.
you're fearful for your life, even though you're trying to help this person. That's
because
a really
they're obviously
rock
in
and a
some
hard
sort
place
of
to be between.
Episode, that they're not thinking rationally at this point. And then it cuts to a scene of Mia washing Deborah's hands, which are fucked up.
Yeah.
Dude, her nail.
Remember us talking about
the ring?
The ring.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. Twins.
Pinch Coke, give me a Coke.
I'll give you this beer instead.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Ooh, her fingers were nasty.
Yeah, it was pretty grody. And then the way that like she's telling her, the way that she's looking at Mia.
The way that she's looking at her is so,
like, so fucking evil.
Unsettling.
Like,
yeah,
so,
she's
like,
just like
pure hatred.
I know they can't see us.
Pure hatred.
We're giving each other eyes.
I've never seen a more resting bitch face in my life.
RBF award.
Yeah.
Number 1 to Deborah.
And the way that Mia's just trying to calm her down, and then Deb's like, once again, harping on Sarah. 'Cause she's a fucking lesbian. My Sarah doesn't like to get manicures. Her nails are always dirty.
She never cleans under her nails.
She never cleans under her nails. And Mia's like, we're going to get your nails cleaned up and looking perfect again. Yeah. And then I'm looking at these
I was looking at my nails. I was like, ooh, she's going to need some recovery time.
I was looking at her nails. I'm like, don't lie to this woman.
No amount of acrylic can fix that.
Oh, man. The way they were so messed up.
They were destroyed, like nailed. Yeah. Oh God, they were.
Blood, splinters, everything.
Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie.
So yeah, she is taking care of that, and then that's when they're looking at a lot of the footage that happened from the night.
Oh yeah, and I guess that's when they find the cabinet stuff.
Yeah, and then we see Harris taking care of the yard work. And
it's one of the first times
kind of
we
gets introduced. Yeah,
meet Harris, and he's taking care of the yard work because motherfucker. Well, he's in on it. Yeah. Later on.
Yeah. Harris is a big part of this whole plot line.
Yes. Yeah. And so he's the neighbor, and I think also lover.
Well, that's the part that is like he's definitely the neighbor, but the lover is like the part that definitely gets interwoven. It's kind of like reading in between the lines.
Yeah, because there's that one scene when he's like, it's before, I think the end, like. Before the TV thing happens to him, but he kind of leans over her, and I was like, "They about to kiss? They about to kiss right now?"
No, he definitely he was in love with her. Yeah, you could definitely see it from the way that like even whenever
he talked about
like the way that he was trying to protect her, basically.
He didn't want her to be exploited and used again, like she said. I don't want to be the butt of someone's joke.
Too, but like he knew her secret.
Yes,
and so he's like. He needed those people to go away because he like didn't want her to be exposed.
Yeah, and but be like,
meanwhile, the whole time, Harris is like the red herring of the film because it makes you think that he was the one behind a lot of shit that goes down, but it really wasn't him.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think we're jumping a little ahead. But yes,
sure. I think I also stopped. Sorry, we're sharing notes today.
No, you're good. But that's the part whenever.
I think I stopped taking notes at some point. But I also have so many notes, so I don't understand.
So many good notes.
I don't know where this happens. It's when they're trying to record her and she's in her little white lace blouse and Gavin's like, this is a nice shirt. And he's like trying to, I'm going to put this in now.
Be nice to her. Yeah. Because he doesn't want her to freak out again. And lo and behold, the bitch freaks out.
She freaks out.
She lunges at them.
Yeah, she does. But I like them when they're like, how are you feeling today, Deborah? She goes, I'm feeling right as rain. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, that's creepy as fuck. I don't know to say that. It's even, like, it kind of reminded me at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street when the mom's like, I felt like $1 million.
And
it sound like that.
And even it's just another way of showing, like, even earlier we didn't cut, but like after they had taken her home from the hospital after she was like gonna pulled that whole crazy shit on Gavin. She was like, I can't believe I would ever say those things to someone. I'm terribly sorry. Like, and you really kind of see like the two sides to her where you're really just like, what the fuck is going on, Deborah?
Because you were, she was like, I would never in all my life imagine saying those things to someone. And it's like, well, you did.
Yeah.
You fucking
Debbie.
did.
Debbie a little crazy. And then, ouch.
So she freaks out on them, lunges on him, and then they have to essentially restrain her.
Yeah.
To the point where she is then like they bring her back to the hospital because they're like, okay, no, there's something else going on. Like you need to run some more tests. And
that was because this was so sorry. Yeah. So no, what happened was they kind of take a little break, but then they come back to the house, remember? And that's when they find her on the floor and she's throwing up the earthworms. The earthworms. Is
right. I think I wrote that down. Oh yeah, I did. That's way later.
Oh my bad.
I put she pukes soil.
This girl does go to the hospital.
She goes to the hospital a lot. Yeah. And so at this point, they fucking. That's a close up of the spinal tap, which I don't know if you've ever had. Have you ever had a spinal tap done? I have.
Ouch.
And
really painful. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. Mainly the size of the needle. Like they made the mistake of letting me see it before that motherfucker went into my spine. And then, you're kind of like bent over the bed and it's not fun. And then I also, that time it made my whole lower body numb. And so, or pretty much all of my body, I had like no control, whatever they did.
Yeah.
Cause they like tested, but then I think they also put like an anesthetic or something. And I couldn't control any of my body, and to the point where I had a panic attack. I was in high school. It was I had like meningitis symptoms, and so they
had to check.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I was like sitting there in the bed, and I just couldn't move.
The way that my whole spine just started hurting.
Yeah, I know, right?
This whole story.
And I couldn't move my body, and so then I just like started freaking out because I was like, I don't have any control, and I was just like crying because I felt. Yeah. Like, I mean, I couldn't move my arms and my legs. Like, my whole body was just like, felt like I was filled with cement. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. That's scary.
It was wild.
That's a real life horror story right there.
Yeah. And then, but this close up of her spine.
You didn't have meningitis.
Yes, thankfully. Okay. It was very nasty.
Yeah, definitely. And then like the fluid that was coming out from her back, I was like, is that snake venom? Like, what? Like, imagine. Yeah. Because that's what it kind of looked like. But I mean, maybe that is what just spinal fluid looks like. I'm not sure. I've never seen any.
Me neither. I don't want to see it.
Bend over.
After this, though, she suddenly starts deteriorating rather quickly. At this point, it's starting to the ball's rolling a little bit at this point, and stuff's starting to get real.
Oh, that's when she's still at the hospital, and then she's there. Dr. Nazine is trying to ask her to like make a vertical T or something, and she can't. She ends up going ham on her skin again.
Yeah, pulls off her arm,
literally.
And this is where we see her back, being all
scaly.
And so at this point, like stuff's getting weird, and even Nazir has been like, "Hey, some of this stuff is not." This is not normal Alzheimer's. Yeah. We're confused. Yeah. We're confused. We need a specialist because this is not we were certain that she had Alzheimer's first, but now
but it's because then
other
it started
stuff is
spreading
happening.
to, well, like scientifically, it started spreading to other parts of her brain and all this other stuff. Yeah. So yeah, homegirl is unfortunately losing her shit.
Losing her marbles. And they get her back home, and probably I think this does have to be, well, aside from the ending, yeah.
But there's that piano scene.
The piano scene. It's fucking terrifying.
Well, because even when you pause the movie, like I was watching it on Amazon Prime, when you pause the movie or at the beginning or anything, it is the thumbnail.
Oh,
so
it
that's
is?
what you see.
Oh.
It's just her at the piano, just looking at you menacingly.
It doesn't do that on Shudder.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's horrifying.
But yes, that scene alone.
Yeah. So at this point, they're just
award.
like filming. They're just showing like pieces of her, right? It's like a transition.
Yeah, they're just kind of showing quick snippets of her descent.
Yeah, and
essentially,
then she's just at the piano in this house, just looking at the camera, and it's like really fucking.
She's got this like
scary.
subtle smile that's like she knows something, and it's creepy, and the way that it pans out, and then it gets so dark, but you can still see her face.
Like whoever did lighting and like cinematography and photography and all that stuff.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, because it was such a good look, and then just her with the piano.
Because the screen goes black before it pops up to something else, and
to just the next scene.
It's like black, and then you think that it's like fully black, but then I don't know if it's like the light burned on your cornea or some shit, but you can just only see her face, and it's not like a clear view of her face. It's this like ghostly, like hollowed out eyes kind of
demonic
look.
Like really,
yes,
really evil looking face.
And it's so subtle, it's so fast.
It gives me very also like that face of like, it goes around, it was going around pretty recently, it was like Smiley or something.
Oh
like,
yes, yeah,
that
I do
kind
remember
of face.
that.
That's what it gives me, but like real. So it's
but
even
real
creepier.
vibes, yeah. And it happened so quickly that, I mean, again, I'm like, did that actually happen, or was that again the light burned on my corneas? I don't know. It's so subtle, and it makes you almost question yourself. What are you actually witnessing? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's how I saw it, and I thought it was amazing. I love that scene.
Yeah, and so then I think that's when it starts going to them.
My notes are so
chaotic.
Start swallowing her little fingers. Snakes.
Well, yeah, because they're trying to get rid of all her little figurines because she's trying to eat them.
She
and
is.
especially whenever she's like, "Why are you putting this away?" She's like, "Because you eat them, Mom."
Yeah,
because you like to eat them.
But later on at night, she still got them by her bed, and I was like, it's all angel figurines too, though. I noticed.
I didn't notice that.
So I was like, maybe someone else is starting to catch on, but she still had them right by her bed, and I was like, that's the main place she could eat these figurines.
Well, it's the way too that like they kept like losing her every fucking time at night, and by at one certain point, I'm thinking like, are we not just gonna chain this woman up?
Yeah, like they do in the fucking hospital.
Because they even lose her there too.
Yeah, that's true. She rips out
because she's ripping her skin. But still, like I'm just
and at one point, Harris helps her.
That's true. Yeah, he does. Yeah,
the first time.
But I'm just like at what point do they not think like maybe this person needs to be under 24/7 watch?
Yes.
Like someone needs to stay up and take shifts, and we all need to watch to make sure she don't do nothing crazy.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. So you'd think that they'd do something to keep an eye on her so she wouldn't be doing something crazy. And then we get that guy Gavin, right?
Either at this point I'm not sure if it's Gavin or Luis who's filming, but they're going through the house, and
I'm pretty sure it was Gavin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gavin. Yeah, that would make sense because this is again mainly the very clearly demonic stuff I feel like happens to him.
Yeah, and I think it's because he's the one that mostly believes what's happening to it. So of course the demons or whatever.
And also because they got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Even in the house alone, just Sarah had to remind him, say thank you.
Yeah.
I wonder if
he already
he's
being
like targeted.
Vibes.
Yes.
So like
very
maybe
dick.
it's just like a comeuppance. Who knows what the karma has played out for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we end up getting the very nice POV shot that you have right here so beautiful.
First person
of him coming up to her paintings, and you get to really look inside of her mind, where it's like the same painting of the same window, the window that she keeps looking out of and escaping from, and there's a black shadow.
The window
figure.
That's in the room.
Yeah, literally, and there's like 8 or 10 pictures, paintings, and with each of them, the shadow's getting closer and closer. And then I don't know if you noticed that whenever he walks up to the window, there's one on the floor, and it's of the shadow like already like in the window or right in front of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote I'll put he being hella disrespectful to her paintings.
Oh, I did. I was thinking that too. He's literally just letting them fall on the floor,
like,
and that's where I always thought like
she painted these.
And that's where I also thought I was like, what a dick. Okay, yeah.
And then so also it should be noted this room originally was empty.
Yeah.
There's nothing in it. This time when he comes in, it seems they have moved some objects in here and they've covered it with canvas and other things. Almost like, when the rich people leave their homes in Pride and Prejudice, they cover
with blankets,
everything with blankets so the dust doesn't settle.
Others. You ever seen that one, The Others?
I think so.
You are my mother. You are my mommy. No? Or it's with Nicole Kidman. And it's like all the sheets are on top of all the chairs and furniture, and then she pulls one back and it's a ghost. Yeah.
Okay, yes, I think I do remember that
it's
scene.
It's like a little ghost girl.
At least I remember that scene.
And she's like, "What have you done with my daughter?" What are you talking about, mommy? I am your daughter. Yeah, it's very
creepy.
Scary. Yeah.
Oh, we should watch that.
Yeah.
Sometime. But so again, dickhole fucking up her paintings.
Yeah.
And then
Debbie pops up just
all
like
of a sudden she's there.
We can count on Debbie to give a good pop up.
She did definitely not like. There's no way she entered that room.
Yeah.
Like normally, and then just got to where she was. He was looking out the window, and then all of a sudden she was bam to the right of him.
Yeah.
He would have noticed her coming in at some point. And then this is where we get the first vocal distortion when she's like, "You're letting all my heat out."
But then proceeds to open up the window.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I was like, what do you mean letting all the heat out? But
then the window
open up the window.
Doesn't just open, it flies open.
And Gavin's freaked
mind
the fuck
you,
out.
Again, it is nailed.
Yeah.
Again, because Deborah went back and nailed it.
Yeah.
And I think it had flew open first. And then Deborah shows up and she's like, "You're letting all my heat out."
No, it didn't. It happened right after.
Right after it? Okay.
Yeah. That's why I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would that happen? And she said that. But anyways.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.
Good, I guess it scared him.
Yeah. Which he then tries to tell Mia, but then Mia's like, "Oh, it's
maybe
a
draft did it." And I was like, "LOL, a draft opens a nailed shut window like that."
Don't do that. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't just thrust it open.
Bitch, what world are you living in? Because it's not the real world.
Mia's living in, I'm trying to get an A, trying to get this bachelorette, whatever it is. Bachelorette.
The bachelorette. I'm trying to get that MRS degree.
Yeah, literally. I'm trying to get the certificate.
Yup. So, but then later on at night, they go again, and Deborah, lo and behold, gets up in the middle of the night. She straight up like strips. Hardcore strips, and then goes up to the switchboard. So everyone is
that scene though of
awoken.
her like dropping the nightgown though, and just you see her butt just going there like that's I was
she dropped it so smoothly.
Literally,
I was like, man, I ain't never got out of clothes like that. It's like I gotta work a little bit.
But anyway, she gets upstairs, and then that's also like, can you imagine just like being dead asleep and you just start hearing all that wailing from
my goodness,
the phone, the switchboard.
It's like having the worst alarm set
ever
and amplified to 1,000.
Literally,
it was just blaring through the house. And I think Luis wakes up and he's like, "Fuck, I was having a good dream."
Yeah, literally.
And I was like, "Oh man, been there, boy."
Out, and then they're like, "What's that?" And Sarah, of course, comes out and is like, It's Mom's switchboard, but it hasn't worked for ages."
Yeah. And they're going to
look for her.
There hasn't been a man like that here in 25 years.
Yeah. And then Mia's like, "Do you think she's upstairs and she got it to work?" Like, it's the way that for me, that part of the acting was very like,
scripted.
Okay, like guys, there couldn't have been another way for us to like lead us up here without y'all having to say everything. Like so
clearly
obviously
we got that without vocal cues. And so they're going, and again, Sarah's looking terrified. This is where they're looking in the closet.
Yeah.
And she's like, I mean, I would be too. All this shit's happening. I'd be like, no, fuck this.
Y'all
man.
go.
Like,
so they make Luis go, right?
Yeah, this is where they make Luis go, and he goes, yeah, okay, make the brown guy go first.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
yeah. And then they get up there, and it's the way that, just like earlier, I'm just like, why is like the way that Sarah is so fucking terrified as well of her own mom. And then you just hear Deborah at the switchboard, like plugging into the same little switch like over and over again, and like she's just mumbling in this very demonic, satanic voice, and speaking French,
as we find out later when they go back and
look back at it. But she's saying all these words, and then then the whole thing just like starts frying, and then she gives this very explodes and gives this very theatrical, just like whoosh, pop back
comical.
And forward and pop back, and like she's getting electrocuted in an electric chair, and then but somehow she's still like perfectly like okay, and then just crying there, and then they have to like get her, and they're like calling the doctors again. So at this point, I believe she gets back to the hospital.
I think Nazir comes there.
That's right. Nazir comes there.
And gives them the sedative, which does come into play later. And so it's supposed to be safe, the amount that they give her. And because Mia is getting her thesis and doing it's some sort of medical dissertation, I believe, that she entrusts Mia with this sedative.
Yeah.
But I do believe Sarah is the one who administers something later.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, Mia too earlier in the movie took Sarah's blood pressure and stuff. So she looks like she's trained and knowing how to deal with all that stuff.
She knows a little bit.
Yeah.
More than the average person.
Yeah.
I did put, it's so sad watching her.
Oh,
because,
Deborah?
Yeah. I mean,
because at that point, that's whenever she's having to calm down her mom in the bed, right?
Yeah.
And they're having that whole moment where I'm just like, the homegirl's that's me in a really deep, dark, my deepest panic attack.
It's dark, just everything in the way that she's sobbing there at the end too. It's just
like hyperventilating. Her whole body is just like, she has no control over it whatsoever.
And
that was you.
It's heartbreaking. Me? When?
Yes,
it was. It was.
Yeah.
But so then they go and they slow down her speaking, and that's when we figure out that not only is they thought it was some sort of mumbo jumbo jargon stuff, they figure out that she is actually speaking French, and essentially
they reversed it.
Yep.
They figure out she's speaking French, and then
saying "Be my fifth," and
something
saying
about like
washing the blood and let the river wash you clean. Something about blood and snakes. The serpentine imagery starts coming in here, and that's when we're starting to figure it out. And then it cuts to Nazir and I believe Sarah up at the switchboard, and they're saying and figuring out that she was consistently trying to put it in Jack 337, and that is what prompts them to go look in all of her record books because she kept meticulous records.
And that's where we figure out that they have like 20 different attics as well, because there's a different attic.
I was like, God damn, how many did it got? I think Luis says that too.
Y'all in your attics, or white people in their
white people in their attics. Yeah, I know he says that again later in the film too.
About basements or something, right?
Yeah, he says it about both. I put Luis says white people in their basements and attics.
And so that's when we figure out like that there was a whole page ripped out of her records, and so
all
she was
of the
really
records
trying
went
to
from
like
336 to 338.
Yeah, and so this was like they were really trying to keep it under, or she
but
was
then
trying to
Luis
keep it secret.
Pulls that Boy Scout shit,
the charcoal, and like they're able to get an imprint with another sheet of paper, and they find out that there was Desjardins was the client that used to use her service with the switchboard and communication.
Jack 337.
She, they ended up like, Sarah's like, well, first Mia and the guy is like, who's this? And Sarah's like, how have you not heard about him? There's a documentary.
There's a documentary.
There's a documentary. And so
every person ever has to see every documentary made.
So they end up, it's funny because they're watching they end up watching a documentary
while filming
a documentary.
Yeah.
In a movie, so it's like pretty meta.
Triple Inception.
Yeah, and so they're doing that, and they're learning about Desjardins. And I keep wanting to call them like Sardine,
yeah. And, Desjardins,
yeah. And so
they're learning about essentially how he had killed these other victims, the other 4 people, and it was he killed them based off of the principles of a Monacan blood ritual. I did mean to look up and see if Monacan was like an actual thing or if it was made up for this. I didn't. So if you know,
okay.
whatever, go for it.
Yeah.
But he essentially, it was a blood ritual in which I believe the girls had to be on their first period, their first menstrual cycle.
Their first menstrual cycle. They called it the something bleeding or something rose or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, ugh.
Yeah.
And then he used the mines because that's where he would complete the act of killing them. And he'd use the mines because it fed directly into the river, and the river is supposed to wash them. And the idea is that he would kill 5 people. He had, what did he have?
He had Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's disease, that's right.
And so he was dying.
He was dying, and if he was to complete this ritual with 5 people is what he needed, which is where the Be My Fifth comes in, he would live forever. Yeah. Essentially, he would gain immortality.
Yeah, and that's what he was trying to get from it. But he ended up disappearing after his 4th victim, and he never completed the ritual, which we ended up figuring out, some stuff on why that happened.
Yeah.
So then we skip over to Sarah and Mia and the gang
eating
breakfast and confronting Deborah about, do you know this name? Do you know who that is? Does it ring a bell? She's kind of like, at first, yeah, kind of. It might have been a client. And then that's whenever Sarah's like, well, he's missing. And then Deborah's like, he's not missing. Dead. Yeah. He's dead. And then Sarah's like, how do you know that? And then she's like, murdered. And so then we have
That's why I put LOL, murder.
Literally. And then we have her like running off. Did not excuse herself from the table, and that's whenever she goes to the restroom and she starts throwing up earthworms and dirt. Yeah, and that's when they're all like, "What the fudge?
Yeah,
what the fuck?" Yeah, and so that's whenever they take her back to the hospital again. Now we're back at the hospital.
Now we're back at the hospital, and this is one of the times like Harris comes in and he's trying to really sweep the leaves over the rug or whatever, like. We're trying to put a rug over this.
Yeah.
What? There's a phrase. It's like that. I don't know.
Sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it under.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he's trying to.
Putting it over the rug. Yeah. Let's do it.
Put some leaves.
Smear that shit everywhere. Just smear it.
It's a bagel now. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So yeah.
But he's trying to do it because he knows.
He knows what's up. And so after that, we have Harris. He shows up to their house and he's losing his mind, losing his marbles. He's drunk out of his mind.
Drunk. Ooh. It is so dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. And then the way that they're all freaking out in the house and like they're all Gavin's still there at this point. And so he's just like.
Because they had just talked about how maybe Harris was the person who did it because he showed up twice.
Yeah. And they found reports about him being, exactly that. And so, he's losing his mind, shooting them up with whatever it is, a shotgun. And then they finally get the cops out there, the sheriff, which the sheriff, by the way, Tweed. She comes in later as well. But did you not get any like
there's sexual tension? I thought they were past lovers.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
like I thought they had something going on.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, "Ooh, Sarah about to cheat."
That's when
she about to get some right now.
Whenever she was like, "Do you need anything?" and she's like, "Can you move in?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I got those vibes. Yeah.
Yes. No. She's like, I got the U-Haul ready.
So basically, they're trying to, they calm Harris down. They take him to, the hospital or whatever, sleep it off in the tank.
And Gavin says,
outskis.
He goes, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Literally.
And he leaves. And of course, that was the only note I made about this is I said, of course, this van has that god awful horn. Yeah.
And it was so bad.
Because he was like driving off and he was like, beep, beep. And he did that. And I was like, oh my God, this motherfucker. Of course he has that.
So that's when we have Deborah at the hospital, right?
And Harris has at this point unlatched her arms.
Yeah, because he's trying to let her go.
And then she gets up.
And she
I put, ooh, she about to steal a kid.
She's taking a child. She is trying to get this ritual going. So I liked, you have here how like you like the
first person POV.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. So yeah, she's stealing the kid. Then we have like cut to her parents freaking out, and then Sarah and them get back to the hospital, and everybody's like, where the fuck is Deborah?
Yeah, they're all searching for Deborah.
So we're searching for Deborah.
And we've got a very good first person point of view while searching, because it's the like light of the camera that we're getting. So it's very much, again, it makes you feel like you're in it. And it's unsettling the way that it pans over everything.
Yeah. Excuse me. Wow. Cut
okay?
that out. Yeah. Oh, wow. That kind of went over. But yes, how they're panning to everything.
Yeah, it's just super like, because it makes you feel like something is about to pop out from behind anything.
Very found footage part of the movie, and then that POV, and also
it really doesn't show anything though,
the
and so that's what I
really
loved.
Helped. Yeah, because it's everything so dimly lit.
It's abandoned hospital wing.
And that's why I'm
also
shit like
of nightmares.
And also I'm thinking like, what hospital just has like abandoned wings that
I know.
we just
I'm like,
don't, like,
you don't got no.
Right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's what's the town's name? Eczema.
Literally eczema. And so anyways, yeah, they finally.
So maybe it's small enough that they had to shut down half their wing after typhoid fever or some shit.
Dr. Nazine, right, comes back in and finds the Deborah and the little kid Kara, and that part in itself is just like pretty eerie and creepy because they're just like
standing in the freezer
because
they're in the kitchen
against the wall. Yeah. And
they safely retrieve Kara, thankfully this time. Who looks, I believe she has like some sort of leukemia or something,
right? Yeah. Which I get that she is sick and has that, and sickness, but because of the way she looks, it just adds to the more
it's because she looks unsettling and sickly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It adds to the spook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
at this point, Deborah's fucking possessed, and Sarah's caught on. Because the next scene is Sarah walking out with a priest.
And saying that there's more going on here than meets the eye.
Being like, we need to get an exorcism up in here. And he's just says, you can't just get an exorcist. It's probably, that's stuff of movies. And you can't just call that down. And it's probably just,
really
it's just a disease. You need to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no.
This bitch is possessed.
Fucking possessed.
And so, that's whenever they go on their own looking.
Ooh, I liked the word spiritual parasite.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so they come and now they're at the anthropologist. Yeah. Because I believe he's the term person who used the term spiritual parasite.
Because Mia contacted him, right? Yeah, there you go. And so now they're getting the down low on like spiritual parasites and how
we find out the young and the old, or the ones with weak minds, or people with weak minds, are more susceptible. And
tells them about another story of
this woman whose child passed away, and she clung to his corpse essentially for a month as he was rotting, and eventually began taking on his characteristics.
Yeah.
And not only his like name and stuff, but also his voice. And so she started talking in a young boy's voice and all this stuff, which is quite frankly fucking terrifying. Yeah.
And then it didn't stop until they burned the little boy's body.
Mm-hmm.
And then a witch doctor.
That's why I put my original major. Anthropology. Yep, that was me.
And so so all of that shit's happening.
Oh wait, no. Harris comes in later and takes off her restraints. Because then I have a note. Fucking Harris, God damn it, taking off her restraints.
Yeah. At that point, that's when he's whispering in her ear, and that's when you really get the sense of like there's something more going on here.
About to kiss scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, no, fucking kill me.
Yeah, she says kill me, and then that's right. And then so he goes and he takes the TV. He takes the TV. He takes the pillow.
Yeah.
But my note, fucking TV smacked him.
Yeah, because apparently Desjardins has like telekinetic powers as well. I was like, okay, how that shit happen? But all right, we'll let it slide.
It's throws possession. That TV. Yep.
Throws that TV and it knocks the fuck out of Harris.
Mm-hmm. Harris now has to go into the hospital, and he's like,
yeah, good thing he was already there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's whenever we get Sarah and them going back to the hospital after they were talking to this anthropologist, and then that's whenever they figure out,
Sarah's talking to somehow talking to Harris as he
in the
is
room.
choking.
It's literally dying. And it's the way that at that point you get another plot twist reveal, because she's like, Dad?
Yes.
Yeah. And
I think that's what she said just so she could get in
there, you think?
I do.
I don't know.
I do.
Maybe she was really the secret lover.
Maybe. Or I feel like maybe that guy was more of a father figure to her.
Could be. Yeah.
And I think she said that just so she could talk to him, because the way that she was talking to him was not like, oh my God, are you okay? It was, give me information.
Yeah.
And that's how we figure out that Sarah was supposed to be the fifth. And because of the switchboard connection.
That's how Deborah found out.
Yes. And that's why they killed him. Because she was like, hell no, you're not going to take my fucking daughter? Bitch.
So
kills
Deborah
him with a
killed
spade.
Desjardins.
And then they buried him. Well, he didn't actually kill him. They buried him alive.
That's right. Yeah.
Buried him alive. And I put LOL, Harris is like choking and she's yelling at him. She's like, give me more information.
Literally.
Like,
Meanwhile, the nurses are trying to drag her out because she can't be in there because he's literally dying. And so that's whenever, he tells her that, and he's letting her know, all of that, all that information. And
then Sarah's like, well, we got to go find that body and burn it.
Them going back to the property, and they're already on the yard, and they're like trying to dig, and then
because they're going to the place where Deborah had lost her mind, like pretty much earlier, and where they kind of seem to garden mainly.
For the most part. And so you just see them digging, and then Luis is like, oh, this is fucking crazy. And then Mia's, when she's like,
help us or shut the fuck up.
Literally.
And I was like, yeah Mia, tell him.
For real. But at that point, they're all trying to find this like fucking, a body, or skeleton or something, some type of remains.
But they can't.
They can't, no.
They do, however, stumble upon the same spade. Yeah. Which turns out was the murder tool. Yeah. Or I guess the tool that incapacitated
him. Which is why also like you call back to earlier her freaking out about a spade because it was what like
she's like, I gotta keep that shit hidden.
The not murder weapon, but
it's essentially the murder weapon.
I mean, they killed him.
Yeah.
Even though he's buried alive, but they still killed him. Yeah.
It's what got him in the ground buried alive.
And so
she's like, I got to keep that shit under
wraps. Then we have them searching for the body, and that's whenever Sarah's like, it's got to be in the basement, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. So it's actually in their attics because they're walking around, and then they see that weird, almost human-like slime shape on the ceiling.
Right. Yeah. It's like decay. It's
yes. And the body wasn't even right there, though, so I was a little bit confused as to where that slime came, but whatever.
There was a slope.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll leave it at that.
That pulled and made it look just like kind of a body.
Yeah.
But this is where, again, they're like, Luis, you go first. And he's like, white people in their basements and attics. And then he's just, he's essentially like, why me? And then Mia's like, we've been over this.
This is why.
You go up first. And there's like, so they get into the attic and weird shit's kind of oozing all over the place. And I put, they have so many.
Literally.
Because yet another one. And weird shit's oozing all over the place. They find the body. And then I put, but why is it still leaky? Shouldn't he be a skeleton?
Yeah. And why there was decay. But I mean, it's possession, it's demonic.
I was like, whatever, I'll let you have your story.
Literally.
I was like, he's been dead for like fucking
years.
at least 30 years.
30 years. Yeah, 30 years.
So I was like, but whatever.
And so they're dealing with that. They end up finding this little bag. And
but maybe because he was... but maybe because he completed 4 of the 5, his body
life force
lived.
Was still holding on.
Yeah. What if he lived for a long time under the ground? Too?
Oh, that makes sense.
And maybe he just now possessed her because he just died, and that's why he's recently, and that's why it's still decaying.
You're a genius.
Look at us.
Okay, both of us
have brains.
Yeah, lights go off. And so they found the remains of Mr. Houdini's and
Houdini.
And it's the way that they're all freaking out. Sarah first, and then Mia, and then they got to get it down.
Smelled so nasty.
And then it's the way that even I think is this point where like Sarah's like talking about them. She's like, I can't thank y'all enough.
Yeah, like, I think so. Yeah,
because it's like these fucking strangers essentially are like
helping
this.
Her. Yeah,
I mean, granted, when you watch the days, I mean, they went to like days like
yes, we're like day
3
at
months.
least 40. At least 40 at this point.
Yeah, they were with her a good few months, so they built some kind of relationship.
Yeah. And they decide to burn the body in the fireplace, which I'll put also.
Before we get
don't
to
burn
that,
the fucking body in the fireplace. Y'all crazy?
Right, but before we get to that, there's snakes all up in the bag that just happened to appear in the bag.
I think the snakes come out once they try to put it in the fire.
Okay.
So it blows back, and then all of a sudden the snakes are like, no,
snake. Yeah.
I'm a snake. And they come out, and they're, I put fuck no to all those snakes coming out. And then I put, he grumpy that y'all trying to burn him now. I'm coming for y'all. Because like then the fireplace kind of goes.
And they blow back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're running out the house.
And then that's when they see him in the window. And so now they've got a physical image of him as well, along with the snakes and stuff, which he was like kind of like a snake.
Which it's kind of, and also if you think about it, kind of meta as well, as like she had all those paintings of seeing him outside the window.
Oh, and now he's in the window and looking
at them.
Ooh,
yeah.
creepy.
So that's pretty cool. I wonder if that was like meant to be something like that on purpose. And so
Then it pans back to her she is in the hospital again, and she has her restraints on, and she escapes by ripping off her whole fucking hand skin to get the restraints off. And then she has kidnapped Kara again.
Somehow again, yes.
Came and got her because they didn't
wasn't extra heavy after this one incident.
That should have been.
They end up getting her, and then at this point, she attacks a security guard by jumping on him and essentially biting him on the neck. But what we realize that the doctor later says is that he was getting treated for snake venom.
Yeah, snake bite.
Yeah, because she injected him with that shit.
So I put, has snake venom in her, I guess?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
Since she's essentially becoming a snake, you know, as we see coming up. And so they end up having to, where does she end up? They're at the house. She's at the hospital, leaves with the child. And they're trying to figure out where she had taken the child. And at first they were like, no, we don't want to listen to you. And then Sarah's like, no, I know where she is. Yeah.
And so they go and they're like, okay, fine, we'll listen to you. And they're driving up the trail to the mountain to get to the mines. And that vibe again gave me very first person like shooter, the vocalist and everything in that scene.
The language.
Yes, everything felt video games again, just like in '94. And I mean, it wasn't as bad though. It wasn't that bad. It still gave me those video game vibes.
I feel that. And
then so they pull up and they find Kara and Deborah holding hands. Deborah's facing away while Kara's facing towards them. And she's just repeating, don't hurt him. He's a nice man. He's going to wash me in the river.
Yeah.
Don't hurt him. He's a nice man.
She's definitely under some sort of spell, possession, presence, something. Yeah. She's not all there right now.
Yeah. And so she's like kind of losing her mind. They tried to take Kara away from Deborah, and Deborah goes, I think the fuck not.
And ends up spitting on one of the officers, right? And she's got acid spit now, apparently.
Because his whole face started melting off. Very Ratma vibes.
Yeah. Ratma. All hell Ratma. All hell. And so then after that, that's whenever they're trying to get someone to help the officer. And that's whenever Mia's like, it's you. It's got to be you. You got to go with him. And Luis is like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to get split up right now or be left with him. But also I'm thinking of Luis I would want to get the hell out of there.
I would want to say, I don't want to go follow Deborah. You kidding me? She's spitting
acid on people.
Acid.
And so we get... Sarah and the officer Tweed
and Mia
chasing after Deborah, which they end up getting into. It was like a house. Was it a house or something? It was like an abandoned something.
I guess it was probably like the mine workshop,
something like that.
I don't know how mines work.
But you're right, but like an entrance to the mines. Yeah. And so they end up getting in there trying to find her. Unfortunately, that's where we get another kill because Officer Tweed gets murdered somehow.
Yep. And then, before that, Mia's coming clean about her grandpa to Sarah. She's like, I was just lying about. And Sarah's like, I don't fucking care.
We're here now. She's like, I don't care. We're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
then,
unfortunately, Sarah goes in and finds her ex-girlfriend dead
on
the floor.
R.I.P. Tweed.
Yeah, Tweedy's dead.
She's dead. There's a bunch of snakes around her.
Sarah's then going deeper to try to find Deborah, and then Mia's behind her the whole entire time, like, no, stop, Deborah.
Where are you?
Get away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah's really diving into this head first, so she's being a real badass.
She's not thinking twice about anything. She's like, I'm going in. And so she's trying to save little Kara, and her mom. And so they finally get deeper into the mines and they find them.
They have to crawl.
Go through this whole like
hole
somehow
with just snakes.
we went from a psycho horror mental thriller to The Descent.
Yes,
they're
as above, so below.
And they're crawling through these little holes, and then they get into the opening of the mines.
I'm so afraid of snakes.
This movie's
I put no way my ass would be in that cave.
Yeah, if
no
you
way.
don't like snakes, this movie might trigger you somehow.
Yeah, I don't like snakes.
Then we have them finally getting into like the mine area, and that's whenever it's kind of just like you said, POV, first person, like they're trying to find them, calling out for her. And then they find them eventually.
Yeah, they find them the first time.
Then Deborah attacks Sarah.
Yeah.
And then they're like trying to pull her off. Mia's trying to pull her off. And then they get her off. And then she once again escapes them, eludes them with little Kara. And then finally, once again, they find her.
It's iconic.
This is the part that's like, ooh, like if you want to watch the movie,
this is my favorite scene.
This is literally the epitome of like those fucking like wait till the end, wait for it kind of memes or whatever.
It's this.
Or TikToks. Yeah.
She got Kara's whole ass head inside of her mouth, and her jaw is hinged like a snake. You know when they got that little fleshy blah blah there.
Yeah.
The fleshy blah blah.
Yeah.
But she's
her
just
whole
like sliding her head, and like when snakes eat the little rats, they're like, that's what she's doing over Kara's head, and that's the most memorable scene, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's
same thing.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. It's one of the top 3 memorable scenes for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we have her freaking devouring little Kara, and then finally they bring
Sarah
some
fires
shots
a
out.
gun, yeah, and it kind of startles them. They're able to get Kara away,
and then that's whenever Sarah's kind of just like trying to coach her mom into like, you can defeat this, you can overcome him, like don't let it.
It's a power, like
you.
their familiar power that kind of pulls. You see Deborah really trying to fight this.
And
you
then,
see her going from one state of consciousness to another, and
she's coming in and out of it.
She did a great job there.
And then that's when finally Sarah has the idea to burn the bones right there in that spot, and she ends up setting on fire.
And then she drops them down that hole, and it like explodes. I was like, Sarah just essentially set off a bomb in a mine. I was like, that
after she was already telling Mia like, be careful because it's unsettled.
Yeah.
It's and so that happens, and then we're done.
Yeah.
I mean, like at least with that, like in that sense,
it kind of
leaves Deborah.
Yeah, it pans back, and it's you're seeing now she's on trial for the murder of Officer Tweed,
and
the hurting of multiple other people, and the kidnapping of Kara. And so,
but she's deemed like mentally unfit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's clear that she's still deteriorating. At this point, her body's probably got to be just fucked.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And she's used
just
up.
a shell.
Yeah. And so she's just that, and it really just kind of ends with that. You see her getting
her story's kind of done there, but then it goes to them celebrating Kara's birthday and
10th birthday, and the news is covering it. And I loved this news segment. The way the vibes, everything, it felt very good.
Yeah. And it was executed well.
Yes.
And leaving you with that eerie feeling.
Yeah. And you're seeing Kara like blowing out her candles and all that stuff, and then it goes outside with her, and he's saying like, do you have any plans for the future? And she was like, I don't know. And then he says something like,
you should make some plans.
You should make a plan. She goes, I have one.
And then just looks in the camera and gives this one look that's just like, oh fuck.
And that's when you realize that she is a child, her susceptible mind.
Yeah.
She's now possessed by J. Hardeen's. Yeah. That's essentially the end of the film there. She did a great little job at the end. I thought she did a good job.
She apparently has been in another movie too, but I can't remember what it was that she was in.
Her little subtle smile at the end, I was like, ooh, good job, girl. Mm-hmm. It was good. It was creepy. Boo times?
Boo times. Boo time.
Boo time. It's like mail time. Blue's Clues.
I think I'm going to give this a solid... A good 3.5, right? Right in the middle. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Oh, I thought you were saying right to me. I was like, I don't know.
Right in the middle. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy it. I just enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything that necessarily blew me away. But like I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a solid, good film. Like I would recommend it to anybody to watch if they really wanted like a scary movie that they hadn't seen.
Good.
Yeah.
I think I'll give it a 4.
A 4. Okay,
yeah, just because I think previously I would have given it a higher score.
Yeah.
But then watching it back this time, there were a few moments that I'm like, that's a little too cheesy for my taste. But overall, I still think I really, really loved the slow burn. A lot of people did give it flack for how slow it was at the beginning. But again, I think there's enough little subtleties and like just very tiny jump scares. Like I don't want to be just, I don't know, cheese scared.
Yeah.
The whole movie. That's not, I like the ones that just, it's because it is like, it follows Alzheimer's, I feel like rather well. It is a very slow descent into losing yourself.
And it tracks well. It pans good. It has good timing. And that, like to me at least story wise, because it's able to fit in plot, horror, and character development too, because you really grow with these characters in the way.
You do.
You really start to like, relate to them and like feel their pain or the struggle, or also be frightened by them, like Deborah, speaking of her. I think it would have been really interesting and cool if like they would have followed a plot line of like Desjardins come back, but instead of stealing a little child, like somehow comes back for Sarah.
Yeah, that's like, what I was kind of initially wanting, but I guess she has, if they're
because
following
there had to be like a
the first
like
blood.
Kid. Yeah, first blood. But then I'm like, okay, but anyways, I'm like, what was he doing? Going in the hospital room, just like checking little girl. Like, how did they know?
Which one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Maybe he's got some sort of sense.
Radar.
Snake sense.
Oh, hey, maybe. But yeah. So, but overall, yeah, a 3.5 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3.5 and 4 for The Taking of Deborah Logan, 2014. Retinol's debut film.
Retinol.
Robitel.
We get an angry email from Robitel.
Rotel Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It was, I have said one of my favorites. I really do enjoy it. I think it's a great film. And again, I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
As always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. They're taking care of us today and making us sound pretty. We're recording on a weeknight, which is weird for us, all parties involved. Weird. But we're here.
We're here. We made it.
We did.
You can listen to us
on all sorts of platforms.
You got Apple Podcasts
and Spotify being the two biggest ones, and then
Amazon,
a sprinkle of others. Who knows?
Stitcher, all those good
Stitcher,
things.
Pandora, Google Play,
wherever you'd like to get your podcast from.
That's right. And you can find us on exactly one social media platform, being
at BooBaes Podcasts.
And that's on Instagram.
All one word, and that's BooBaes, not BooBabes.
That's right. And make sure that you follow us there, because a lot of the times we'll ask for your input.
Yeah.
And
we would like to
responses.
Interact with y'all.
Yeah, we'd like to read. If
shy.
You've ever watched any of these films that we're talking about, we'd like to hear your responses from them and how many boos you give.
And thank you for sticking with us through this one. This one is a pretty long one. We had a lot to talk about.
It's got a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of little nuances. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes,
that
please.
is the only way we can ever get ahead in this world. And boy, oh boy, do we need to get ahead.
We do.
We do.
Leaps and beams and beyonds.
Beyonds and eons and Bjorks.
There we go. All right. Well, I think that's all for today,
That's
folks.
right. That's all, folks.
And bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.